This episode of Shootin The Shiznit is brought to you by WeHaveMerch.com. WeHaveMerch.com. Standard size shirts at only $12.99. Shirts include I'm a Shiznitter, my old buddy, Cool Kids Countdown logo, Shootin The Shiznit logo, Happy Shiznit Day, and many more. Order your shirt today at WeHaveMerch.com.
Have you listened to episode 114? That's right, 114. It's a Cool Kids Countdown with my co-host Lance LeVine, and we're talking top 10 entrances of all time. Here's a clip, download it, or go to the archives at www.stspod.club.
Derivatives. I think they went with there was the NWO Black and White, there was the LWO, there was the Wolfpack. I think that the whole concept just got watered down. And then by the time they brought it to WWE, forget about it. But you're right. The classic NWO entrance, that made Nitro must watch on every Monday night. You had to watch because you wanted to see who were they going to fuck up next. Were they going to lawn dart Rey Mysterio? Were they going to spray paint Sting? It was such a great ring entrance. And it just, like I said, it boggles my mind because Hogan sucked in the ring, great entrance. NWO sucks in the ring, great entrance. So, and you'll see, there may be a couple more on the list. You never know. So at number 6, the classic NWO ring entrance.
Hey, I want to say something before we go to commercial. If you will go back and look at Hogan matches, you actually may think he's a better worker than you did back in the day. I just want you to say that. You said it a couple times how bad he was. I think part of it was that all the smart fans back then, there was such a small group of us, and then we got on that Hulk sucks. I even made the T-shirt Hulk sucks. The stuff that he does, I mean, is just what he should have been doing. It was mainly a lot of selling. I mean, Hogan did a lot of selling, and it just did, his 3 moves. And if you work rate, not one of the greatest workers, but not one of the greatest wrestlers.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Let's start the party.
And she says, I wish that I could be like the cool kids, 'cause all the cool kids, they seem to fit in. I wish that I could be like the cool kids, like the cool kids.
Hey, how's everyone doing? It's time for the Cool Kids Countdown. I want to bring my co-host, the co-host with the most, Mr. Divine, Lance LeVine. How you doing, Lance?
Hey, we're right here in the Bird's Eye Studios today. We're doing great here in Chicago. So Bird's Eye for all your cauliflower and Brussels sprouts needs.
Right. Bird's Eye. You kind of went up. I mean, we went from candy.
A little bit.
I'm over here cracking up, guys. Just for the record, he never tells me what the hell he's going to say, so I'm cracking up myself on that one. I mean, Bird's Eye, that's going to be a good sponsor,
Yeah,
I've got a few things. I'm live from STS Studios. We don't even have a sponsor over here except for the fine folks that sponsors, before the show starts and right there in the middle, and we do thank those guys. I want a couple of things I want to talk about before we actually get into the countdown tonight. You talk about Bird's Eye and cauliflower and everything. As you know, Lance, I've said this a couple of times, just kidding about it, but it is actually the truth. Ever since I started working from home, and guys, this is not a commercial, working from home, I've gained tons of weight. So my deal is before and this is right with All In, this is the All In theme episode. So before I get to All In, I am going to be at least 40 pounds less, okay? So starting every week when we jump on here, the first thing I want you to ask me is how big of a fat ass I am, okay? So
I think I can handle that.
I'm going to start. My wife's going on it with me and help me. We're going to start on Monday. I'm a diabetic. I need to lose the weight. And also, I can't walk across the house without, going out of breath. So to be at that con, I'm going to need to lose some weight. So that's the first action of business here. Business of action of business. Hell, who knows? I want to just big shout out to Michael Young. Michael says something about our podcast every time it comes out, and does a great job just telling me how good we're doing and how much he actually likes the program. Also, a shout out to Ed.
Bogus Ed.
Bogus Ed. Ed, you and this Lance LeVine here both said y'all like Kevin Von Erich better, okay? I can't see how you could like Kevin more than Kerry. And I promised you a Kerry Von Erich story, so I'm going to make it real quick. Cassette Wrestling News used to come out. It was put out by Jeff Osborne. It's kind of like the podcast before podcast. Mm-hmm. He sent out a cassette every time, and he interviewed Kerry Von Erich one time. And Kerry said, this is Kerry Von Erich. We're on Cassette Wrestling News. We're live from... Where the hell are we? Evansville, Indiana?
Fill in the blank.
Yeah, and Jeff actually kept it on there like that, so it's really funny. And since we are always talking about the Kanellis baby.
The Kanellis baby.
Kanellis. Say it again.
Kanellis baby. Kanellis baby.
I dreamed about the Kanellis baby, okay?
Of course.
So I dreamed that I was talking to Mike Kanellis, and I told him that we had this joke going on, and then I okayed it with him to do a Kanellis baby T-shirt. So he said it's all right in my dream. I think it's probably pretty much all right. So
hashtag Kanellis baby. Going forward, that's going to be our hashtag.
If they see that, they're going to think we're freaks or something. So that's all right. Lance, tell us what we're doing tonight.
Well, everything has been all about All In for the last couple of months. As soon as they announced it, the ticket sales the last couple of weeks have been burning up the internet about the 30-minute sellout and StarCast and how that's been selling. So tonight, your great idea, which I think has been phenomenal because we're going to be there, is the top 10 things we're looking most forward to about All In, because we're going to be there hanging out with our buds and hanging out with each other. So All In weekend in Chicago in September. So there's such an eclectic group of people that are going to be there that they've announced, that Kulky McCulkin or whatever the fuck his name is from Home Alone is going to be there. Pharaoh, very excited about Pharaoh being there. Looking forward to the Joey Ryan and Hangman Page dick-off that I'm sure is going to be there. And I think that leads to us to that show you're going to on the West Coast, that All Out show in West Hollywood. I think you're going to
that's
that
in
one,
the
right?
Rainbow District. Yeah, Rainbow District. Yeah, All Out.
So we have the list was made and we were ready to record, and then announced today is that Rosa Mendez is going to be appearing in StarCast. So I was just about ready to rip up the whole list and start all over again, because with Rosa Mendez being there, that just threw everything into turmoil. So anyway, so we've got our top 10 things that we're looking forward to most about All In weekend. So extremely topical. So as usual, we have our honorable mentions of things that didn't make both of our lists. So we have yours as the 505 photo op with Tony Schiavone and the DDP yoga encounter.
Yeah, I was excited about Tony Schiavone's just going to be, looks like he's either doing an interview or it's a photo op. I've got that. We have that 505 T-shirt for sale, guys. You can go, and it tells you right at the front of the episode how to do it. And I'm going to have that shirt on. I'm going to get my picture taken with Tony Schiavone. I'm excited about it.
And you're going to be doing DDP yoga, right?
I am. Hopefully, if everything as I explained at the very beginning, I will be there with DDP for that morning doing DDP yoga. So I'm really excited about that.
Fans, I will have a camera ready for that, because that's going to be some priceless photo ops right there. So, and my honorable mentions that didn't make our cut was the merch. I am like a huge merch guy. I'll buy some shirts. Obviously you need to have probably about $1 million checkbook to buy all the merch that they're going to have at this show. But I'll buy some shirts. But I just love looking at the stuff. I just love all the different things that they're going to have there. So that's going to be amazing. And of course, the opportunity to meet Bruce Pritchard. That didn't quite make my list either. So anyway, so we crunched our list like we normally do. The bottom half of the list are the things that one of us had that the other one didn't have. The top half of the list are the ones that we agree on. So we're going to get started with number 10, which is my first pick, which is the All-In Weigh-Ins.
I don't even know what the hell this is.
Exactly.
What are they going to actually do? I think this has all got to do with my weight loss.
Oh wait, you're going to be playing a part in this.
That's right. I'm doing my weigh-in.
That's right.
We and I'll be posting a number up there on Twitter, a very large number, on Monday morning, so everyone can see what I started at, and then I'll be there for the weigh-in.
All right, so
that's all I know to say about it. So.
Exactly, and that's kind of what I'm excited about for the weigh-ins, is because I'm puzzled as to what it's going to be. I mean, we see the weigh-ins at UFC, we see the weigh-ins once in a great while at 205 Live. They'll do some kind of weigh-in thing, but what is this going to be? I'm just excited about the fact that they have this out there, that it's something that they're going to do. So. Are they going to do angles? They're obviously going to do some kind of face-off, where they're doing photo ops with Cody and Omega and whoever else is there. But I think it's such a creative concept for them to incorporate weigh-ins in a wrestling thing. I can't even remember the last time we saw a consistent, weigh-ins. The most consistent thing we ever see is contract signing. So this is not going to be that. This is going to be something altogether different. So I'm excited about the concept of whatever they're going to do with the all-in weigh-ins at number 10. So at number 9 is your first pick, which is the Jeff Jarrett TNA panel.
Yeah, I'm excited about this. I mean, I was real excited about bringing Jeff on, and we got him on the 100 episode, and I've always been a Jeff mark, mainly because he started right here in Memphis. I think it's fun to be able to listen to the guys talk about stuff, and then you're going to have some fans out there. Hopefully we don't have any activity like we did during the press conference. I thought those fans were total idiots. And you'll be able to ask questions about the TNA run. And Jeff has been a couple podcast appearances I've heard him on, even talking about his rehab. I actually didn't ask any questions like that, but he's been pretty upfront and honest. It'll be exciting to see what he says about TNA. This is one of those things where that was his baby. I mean, him and his dad started, and it's still going. That's one of the questions I would ask if I got a chance. With it still, it's called Impact now, whatever. But how does it feel being on the outside now? And he's been on the outside a couple of times and then went back. But yeah, I'm excited about that.
I like the way you said, I hope there's not going to be any idiots there asking questions. So I think that's pretty. There's a very low over-under on that one. So anyway, since Jeff Jarrett could not talk about TNA, obviously when he did the most recent thing he did was the WWE Hall of Fame induction, he obviously couldn't talk about it there. Will he be able to talk about it here, and how open will he be? I'm looking forward to seeing how much of the dirt will he dish on the awful business practices that TNA had over the years. They had some good years, and they had a lot of good television. They had a lot of good product. They obviously lost a tremendous amount of talent to other organizations, WWE, New Japan, everywhere. And they have they almost, it seemed like the Phoenix rising from the ashes so many times. They started all over again. So it'll be interesting to see how much he'll reveal as far as, the terrible business practices that they had over the years. I'm not looking forward to, is he going to bash Dixie Carter? I doubt he would. And honestly, I don't need to hear that. I'm just more curious about the people that got away and things like that. Jarrett's always been a polarizing guy. I got nothing against the guy at all, but I know there's a lot of people that love him, a lot of people that just despise him. So he's okay by me. But he's definitely an engaging character. I'm definitely curious to see what he's going to talk about. So at number 8, we have my next pick, which is the CM Punk involvement.
Yeah, and I think this, I tried to get me and Lance a ticket just for a photo op so we could have Cool Kids. I know, we're big, huge marks, so get over it. So I'm a huge CM Punk mark. Don't care to let anyone know that. Was going to get Cool Kids Countdown T-shirts on and get the pictures taken with him. And it just didn't happen. I mean, the demand seemed to be really big, and I knew it was going to be. It was going to be hard to get in. Here's the thing that leaves me a question is there's all kinds of little things going on right now about there may be a settlement when it comes to Punk and the WWE. There's also he's going to be there for that. Well, is he going to be there Saturday night as something surprise? Or would the UFC even let him do that? So it's that place is going to go just ape shit crazy if that music hits or if he jumps in the ring for something. So that's what I'm excited about, just to think that might happen.
Yeah, it's kind of like the weigh-ins. It's the mystery of the CM Punk involvement. I mean, the only thing that's guaranteed is he's doing the T-shirt, the photo op at the T-shirt place. I think it's Friday. But whatever involvement he has, if anything, it's the mystery of anticipation for it. And I'm right there with you. I'm a huge CM Punk mark. I love the guy's in-ring, the guy's persona, everything about the guy. And obviously I'm a homer because he's from Chicago, hometown guy. He'll surely be there because he's obviously friends with many of the guys. And obviously his heart is in the indies. I don't know that he necessarily started out with ROH, but he obviously made his first initial name in ROH. So his heart is with all these guys. I think a lot of it rides on what happens at this UFC in a couple weeks. If he loses, I think he'd likely be ready to hang it up as far as the MMA experiment. I think he'd possibly wrestle at All In. If he wins, or at least referee, I think he's going to play some kind of role in the show. He'll either be a special ref or who knows, he might even wrestle. Could he come back with the same, vigor as Daniel Bryan did after being out of the ring for years? We'll see. If he wins at UFC, who knows? It could minimize his all-in involvement where it's just the T-shirts, autograph signing thing, and that's about it. But I love the mystery of what is CM Punk's involvement going to be. Obviously, the tickets are sold out, so he doesn't need to be there. They don't need to do anything with him. But I think the metal, strike while the metal's hot. They're in Chicago. They might as well use them and get the massive pop, however the show's going to be airing. So at number 7 is your next pick, which is the first time able to see the Young Bucks live.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen all the best tag teams ever, and I always put Rock and Roll, Midnight Express, and the Japanese teams I haven't seen, but I always was a huge Fabulous Ones fan. There's all kinds of tag teams, and I'm a huge tag team mark, and I've said this on this show. I've said it. I think the Young Bucks is the best tag team ever. I know that pisses off all
hot take.
Yeah, whatever. I'm free. I could say that I can call Bobby Eaton on the phone and talk to him. Now that's how, and he knows who the hell I am. But Bobby and who his partner is one of the best. Always will be one of the best tag teams ever. But they don't touch the Young Bucks. I'm sorry, guys. It's just I've seen them all, and these guys are awesome. I'm excited about seeing them. So. Probably won't get in line to meet them or anything like that, but I'm just excited about seeing them perform live, and I know they're going to be so on, no matter who they're working that night, because this is it. This is a big deal.
Yeah, it's called evolution. It's like I have nothing but admiration for the Midnight Express, Rock and Roll Express, all those guys. They were great tag teams back in the day. The Steiners back in the day, entertaining as hell. But you're right, it's evolution. It's just the way the business evolves and the business keeps changing. And the Young Bucks, I know you don't think the Usos are the best tag team in the world. So anyway, that's an inside joke. Young Bucks live. I've seen them many times live. I've had the fortune of seeing a lot of ROH house shows in Chicago and pay-per-views and so on in Chicago. So I've seen them live. Not to say that I'm not excited to see them again, but I understand where you're coming from. This is the first time being able to see the guys live. So it'll be really fun. For you to see them for the first time in the arena, and especially the show that you said, it's their baby. They're putting this whole thing together. Them and Cody are putting this whole thing together. So I actually got to meet them a couple of years ago at Squared Circle when the Lisa Marie restaurant in Chicago, the pizza place that was so good, and it was so cool to go and hang out there because they had all this great wrestling memorabilia, and they'd have a lot of stars appear and be able to just literally shoot the shiznit, as they say, with the wrestlers. And they were there one day, I think it was before or right before an ROH card. And they were super humble guys, super nice, really willing to openly talk about the business and so on. So who knows? That was like 3 years ago. I don't know if they're still humble and they're still cool with all the fame and fortune that have come to them on the indie scene since then. But super nice guys back then. So I'm looking forward to seeing them again as well. So at number 6, we have my final one before we get our mutual list here, which is the Medusa women's panel.
Yeah, this wasn't actually on my list, but I can see where you'd be excited about it. Medusa has a hell of a career in 2 different deals. Big truck, the monster trucks thing. This woman was a star in wrestling and then a star in monster trucks. And doing a panel on women's wrestling, I don't know what makes me interested to see what she thinks of some of the stuff that's going on now. I like the way they constantly talk we're doing an evolution, although Medusa and they were big deals. What she did by, that would be something to ask her about, throwing the belt in the trash and all that kind of stuff. But is there anyone else that's going to be on the panel with her, or is it just going to be her?
That was the only name I saw, is that she's moderating the panel. So, but I'm sure they're going to have, like, Mia Yim is at the show, so I'm sure she'll be there. Deanna Perrazzo is going to be there. So I'm sure they'll have Tessa Blanchard. So, I mean, I'm sure all of those ladies will be, possibly Brandy will be there, but they'll have all of them involved in it, I'm sure. So I'm not all that interested about, like, the Mildred Burke days. I don't care. I don't want to hear about the Mildred Burke days. And I think what you were referencing about the fact that they were a big deal back then, Medusa, is the fact, I think the difference now is that there's, multiple women's matches on the WWE shows. Whereas back then, when it was her, it was just her, basically. I mean, it was her and maybe one or two contenders, and that was about it. The size of the women's roster was nothing, there was not enough people back then. Whereas now they have a full roster, enough to support both shows. So what I'm interested in is hearing her thoughts and, whoever they have on the panel about modern women's wrestling, and talking about Shimmer, and talking about the indie talent, and talking about the state of the WWE, the women's revolution versus the hypocrisy of the Saudi Arabian show. After Lita came out, Lita was the only person that I've read any comments that were negative on WWE as far as taking the money and running and doing the Saudi Arabian show. So it'll be interesting to see. I don't think Medusa is on the WWE payroll. I know obviously she's in the Hall of Fame, and she probably doesn't want to step on too many toes, although she's worked, she worked the last Rise event in Chicago, and she's been at Shimmer and stuff. So I think she's somewhat of an indie player, but let's see, how in depth will they get, and how much will they give, honest criticism, if there is any, of WWE for the Saudi Arabian situation. So looking forward to Medusa's panel at number 6.
All right, let's get a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back, guys.
Glowing Hearts knows that you have a right to choose any in-home provider you wish. At Glowing Hearts, committed to caring isn't just a tagline, it's a promise to their clients, employees, and communities that they have the honor to service in Pemmican, Dunklin, New Madrid, Butler, Scott, Mississippi, Stoddard, Wayne, Bollinger, and Cape counties. For more information, contact Glowing Hearts at 844-390-3735 in Marston or 573-803-2716 in Cape Girardeau. Glowing Hearts, committed to caring.
That's right, guys. It's NBA playoff season. I want you to go to tinyurl.com/STS Fanatics. That's FANATICS. Yes, guys, go there and get all your NBA gear. That's right, NBA playoff gear. They also sell officially licensed merchandise for NCAA, NFL, Major League Baseball, NHL. Hey, it's the NHL playoffs also. Go to Fanatics, buy something at that link, and you help us here at Shootin The Shiznit. Now, back to the show. 5, 4, 3. Hey, we're back from a commercial break. Hey, we got 5 more to go, Lance. All right, let's go.
And this is our top 5 that we agreed on both of our lists. So at number 5, coincidentally, we were just talking about the women. So at number 5, very simply, Brandy Rhodes.
And right before we went on the air, officially went on the air, Lance said that we could just be really nice here and not say anything bad about Brandy because we want this episode to go out to as many people as possible. Brandy's hot as hell, and Cody knows it, and he knows there's just going to be a bunch of guys trying to molest her. Not molest her, but kind of lust after Brandy the whole time. I think she'll have one of the longest lines. No pun intended.
Code.
It's code. Probably have one of the biggest, longest lines there when it comes to all the fans. I wanted to note this. I've been to cons before, Wizard World a couple of times, and another, smaller Comic-Con. And everyone, like, when they had a wrestling guest, the people were so good about asking questions, being nice, and a whole deal. I don't know how it's going to be when all we have is wrestling fans. So I just hope that they don't say anything stupid if she does any Q&A or anything.
Yeah, to paraphrase, where I'm drawing a blank on his name, Corey Graves. To paraphrase Corey Graves, she is God's greatest gift, and he says that about Mandy Rose, who I also like, but Brandy Rose just takes the looks thing to a whole completely different level. So if you can factor out her looks, which that's obviously an impossible if, I like the act. I love the chemistry, obviously, with her and Cody. Her poise at ringside is just outstanding, I mean, and to consider that she hasn't really been doing this for very long, yeah, she was doing the ring announcing as Eden Styles, trivia fact there. And I think he's become such a great heel. I think he's just so hateable, and he's really developed that character so well. And I think they play off of each other so well. I just massively looking forward to seeing her live to see if that kind of absolute stunning beauty is actually physically possible to pull off in real life. And also the Flip Gordon angle. I hope that doesn't become a shoot, because we all know how the wrestling wives and the flirting with other wrestlers and those storylines, we all know how that tends to end up. So hopefully this whole thing with her being buddies with
let me just say something, okay? Flip Gordon, now he is a stud. We all know that. Probably most improved but he is not fucking Cody Rhodes, okay? So you don't have a chance. Just let me tell you that.
Okay. All right. Well, hopefully the best. So at number 5, Brandy Rhodes. Cody Rhodes for you, maybe, but Brandy Rhodes for me. At number 4, we have the empty arena panel with Lawler and Funk.
I'm fired up about this. As everyone knows, I seen this the first Saturday that they aired the clips for this, and they talked about this. I seen the build for it. I seen it all. I thought Lawler had killed Terry Funk at the time with the spike going in his eye and everything. And I always wanted to ask Terry Funk after I got more into the business, why the fuck would you blade your eye? Mm-hmm. This guy bled like crazy from around the eye. And we would go around the playground yelling, my eye, Jerry Lawler. Worst Terry Funk imitation ever. But we did that for years at my high school, and just being idiots with it, I listened to Jerry Lawler's podcast, which, I'm a huge Jerry Lawler fan. But, man, his podcast is just not that good. So, but he tried to work like him and Terry Funk was going to get in a fight during the panel or something. Mm-hmm. And I don't know why he would want to do that, why he would try to work, which is going to be a 100% smart crowd. It just didn't make any sense him talking that way. But if those two guys sit down and do and give plenty of time to talk about it, it should be really fun.
Yeah, I think that this is one of the really coolest concepts for a match in this business at all, ever, in the history of the business. I think that concept, you're talking about a business where it's all about topping the last spectacular, and the last stick wasn't good enough. So, when a cage match isn't good enough, then you have to have a roof on the cage. And when a roofed cage isn't good enough, then you have to have barbed wire cages. So it's like, then the glass and the thumbtacks and, every spectacular stip that the business has ever had. This is like the most no frills stip ever, is an empty arena match. And I mean, I don't even know how many they've done over the years. I don't know how many, if you can count them on one hand, or if there's, each promotion has done them, but this is obviously the pioneer one that we all think about. And I think it's such a simple concept, but it was so incredibly effective. And you talk about two guys, and again, everybody knows I'm not Mr. Old School, but these are two guys that I would definitely listen to for hours if they're telling stories about the business and their interactions with each other over their decades-long careers. So I think that this is like one of the coolest panels that we can watch for, and I think it's going to be outstanding entertainment and just, as they say, sitting under the learning tree of Lawler and Funk talking about the empty arena match. So at number 3, we have Podcast Row, and especially Keeping It 100. And before we get into that, I want to send out special condolences to Joe Feeney and Joseph Feeney on the loss of their mom this week. Two upstanding stand-up guys that we love, that are members of our group, that we love their podcasting, and we just love being buddies with those guys, and best wishes to them in this time of need for them.
You couldn't have said it any better, Lance. When it comes to a family member as close as my dad has passed, and I still have my mom with me, there's not much you can say. You could say things like time will help, blah, 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 but it doesn't. I mean, I still think about my dad probably once a day. Still something that, and he's been gone years. So, JoJo, if you need to talk to anyone, me and Lance are here, and I know all the Shootin' The Shiznit guys. Guys, y'all can follow JoJo on Twitter. Just get out and, give him a big hug and tell him you're thinking about him. All right, let's talk about what we got. Number 3 is going to be Podcast Row.
So I will go on about Podcast Row. I think it's a chance to see, the dozens of these guys who do what we do, and to see if we like them, if we don't like them, if we think that they're marks, if we think that they're talented broadcasters, do we think that they're smart fans, do we think that they're dopes, do we think that they're living in their mom's basement and they haven't showered for a few weeks. So I think it'll be really interesting to see who are the podcasting brethren that are there. You like to assume that they're all going to be a bunch of smart, educated, smart fans. But I don't know. After spending 4 days with the Podcast Row brethren, the ones that we were looking forward to the most, and obviously still to this day, at the top of the list is definitely Joe and the gang from the Conan show. So we're much looking forward to that, much anticipating meeting those guys and hanging out with them. But yeah, it's just going to be a really fascinating, microcosm of the wrestling community to see the types of people that are doing the shows that we do. I thank you for letting me have the opportunity to be on the show every couple of weeks with you. So it'll be really interesting to see what kind of people are doing this professionally, that are somewhat making money off of it and making a career.
I mean, people don't understand it. I think when it comes to podcasting, there's so many wrestling podcasts out there. And, I think people all the time, and when I show my numbers, they're like, oh, that's a lot. Really, it's not a lot. We do about on an average of 9,000 downloads, and sometimes we get huge numbers on maybe one episode every once in a while. But you're talking an average of 9,000. There are people that's going to be there, that's not paying to be there. By the way, I'm going to ask you that question and let you tell here in just a second. But the people that are not paying to be here, those guys, they're getting numbers of the Bruce Pritchard show was getting close to 1 million downloads at one time a week, and over time it was 1 million downloads per episode. And I know I've heard numbers with the Conan show, and they're not our kind of numbers. I mean, we can do 100,000 downloads of all our episodes in a month's time, and it doesn't even touch, what these guys are doing. So they are, like you said, they're the stars of what we do. It would be fantastic if we could get their downloads and make the money that they do, but we just haven't been able to do anything like that.
Hey, we're just two regular guys just starting out doing it. So, be patient.
All right, so I want you to tell the people that, we thought about going to Podcast Row in the sense the paid version, so we'd get a table and we could set up and we would do interviews there live and be kind of part of the show. So tell them what you guys.
Yeah, I reached out to the StarCast, whatever the email, and I reached out to them just on a whim, just to see, what would it cost and do they have any openings left? Because for a while there, they were dropping names left and right for days of all the different shows that were going to be there. So I said, hey, any spots left? How much would it cost? And give us the information. And so I got they told us they had some spots left open on the Thursday night, which is out of the 4 nights, probably the least beneficial one. So they had some spots left open on Thursday, and the going rate was $500 to $600 for a table. So considering, we don't charge for this and there's no paywall or anything, and, we're not making a fortune doing this, we're doing it for the love of doing it. We don't really have $600 to put down to have a table at Podcast Row, but we'll definitely obviously be there. And apparently these dozens of podcasts that are there have enough to put down for a $500, $600 thing. So, we'll be out there handing out stickers. I'll sign autographs, I'll sign your boob if it's a woman, or if it's a fat guy, I'll sign your boob.
There you go.
But we'll be there, and that's why I said I just want to absorb all of it and see, what is this broadcasting brethren look like. So,
and hey,
yeah.
I want to just throw it out there, Lance. Since we. I try to say this seriously, but if there's anyone that wants to sponsor us for $600 to be at StarCast, hey, why not? We'll do it.
We'll take it.
We'll do it for you. Yeah.
All right.
So let's get on. We got 2 more.
Ad number 2 is just quite simply the card itself, the all-in card on Saturday.
That's the funny thing. We don't even know what the show's going to be, except maybe Cody defending the belt. And I think it's weird that and maybe the belt's going to change, but they always say he'll be defending it. He'll be going for the belt. I said defending the belt, but he'll be going for the belt, the NWA belt, against the champion. They're not even saying Nick's going to actually be champion when they get there, which is, kind of old school. As soon as they announced this, I marked out, mainly because Dusty was champ, and I really think it would be like the icing on the cake thing if they put the belt on Cody. I know it's something that Cody, would consider an honor, and it would mean something to him. And, they always we talked about this, about is there ways for the NWA title to mean anything? If there's been a way to do it, these guys have been really slow and just slow building the NWA title. If they put it on Cody, 2 or 3 years down the line, put it on another bigger name, you're looking at, the NWA title may mean, and I know people are going to say, wow, mean more than WWE title. Well, the WWE title don't mean shit now, the way they change it back and forth and do what they do. So, this is a good opportunity for NWA and also a good opportunity. I think Cody will live out a dream of holding the same belt as his dad did.
Well, the WWE belt won't mean anything till Roman Reigns gets it. Boo, boo. I'm getting everybody riled up. So anyway, the card itself on the Saturday night, the All-In card, between the Bullet Club guys that are going to be there, Omega, Okada, for Christ's sake, Skrull, all the women that are going to be wrestling, and some of the top women from Shimmer are going to be there. Mia Yim, Deonna Purrazzo, Chelsea Green. The card itself, like you said, it's not announced. All we know is the names of the people that are going to be on the card. And what's interesting to me is the fact that this could go any number of ways. Because when we first heard about the show, I thought, the ROH booking and the New Japan booking are obviously done they're woven together so well that I figured this was just going to be possibly the culmination of some angles. They're going to have Omega and Cody, whatever. It's going to be the culmination of some of the angles that they've done, and this will be the payoffs. But now I'm starting to think this could potentially just be an exhibition, because they've sold the place out. So it'll be really interesting to see. Is it just like a Harlem Globetrotters type house show where it doesn't really matter, or are they going to have meaningful matches that actually pay off with some really strong angles and title changes and stuff? So it'll be really interesting to see. Bottom line, the crowd of over 10,000 people is just going to be hot as hell. The chants are going to be insane. The boos, the cheers, the pops for everything is just going to be off the charts. It's just going to be so much fun being there. And whether they do this annually, whether this becomes a semi-annual thing, or whether it's always in Chicago, what's super cool to me is the fact that you and I are going to be there with some of our friends, and we'll be at the first one. We'll always be able to say we were at the first All In. And who knows, when All In 25 happens, 25 years from now, if they do it as an annual indie thing, we'll be able to say we were at WrestleMania 1 for indies. That's what this thing is going to end up going down as. So that leads us to number one, the number one thing that we're most looking forward to of All In, and that is simply hanging out with the boys.
That's right. I'm excited. Number one, Lance, have we met
20 years
before?
Man. Yeah, 20 years. Since the Chicago convention.
That's right. It's been a long time. So, and then John got us tickets, and I'm excited about hanging out with you two guys. And we got nosebleed, but who gives a shit? We're going to be there. And I'm excited about all the people. Now, I've seen some of the people on Facebook that some of my guests, Conrad Thompson is going to be there, and some of the people like Dave McCormick and his wife, who we talked about. They met, from the Observer. Dave Meltzer's going to be there, and it's been years since I've talked to Dave. It'd be exciting to see that. But if you're listening to this and you actually plan to go to the convention, I know you may not got a ticket to All In, but if you're going to the convention, please DM us there, me or Lance on Twitter. We would love to, take us either Friday or Saturday, a certain time. All of us meet at the con, go somewhere to eat or something. Everyone that listens to this show will have our own mini little, y'all can all buy our lunch or something like that.
They can buy you a salad,
That's right. No, if I lose 40 pounds, buddy, I'll eat what the hell I want that weekend. I'll be all in, baby, all in.
So I will say that my buddy John Henriksen, who is literally my best friend for going on damn near 30 years, he drifted from wrestling. He hasn't been excited about anything massively in the business for I'd say easily 10 years. He kept on pestering me when are tickets going on sale? When is it going to be announced? Is it going to be in Chicago? He's super excited about it. He started finally watching some of the New Japan stuff on Friday nights, and he got hooked. And so he has gotten all, hot and bothered about seeing the show. Again, haven't seen you in 20 plus years. Meltzer, about the same, probably about 20 plus years. It's going to be great just hanging out with everybody over the whole weekend. The whole damn thing runs Thursday through Sunday. I don't know how many days you're going to be there for, at least 2 I know of. I'm going to be there probably all 4 days. And just being able to hang out with my boys, and just having the time of our lives, just seeing, the entire atmosphere. And as my Southern brother, I have to ask you to repeat the camaraderie. I want to hear you say, can you say the camaraderie?
Camaraderie.
Hey, that's pretty good. Pretty good. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to the camaraderie of hanging out with you, Meltzer, my buddy Henriksen, and anybody else. Like you said, anybody else that's listening that comes to the weekend, to the Fan Fest. Or if there's people locals that have tickets that we don't even know about yet, be sure to look us up, hit us up on Twitter or Facebook or in Cool Kids, whatever. But, we'll definitely hang out and we'll all buy BT a great big Caesar salad.
And, guys, we'll be giving away something. So we're going to have stickers. We may have some shirts. We may, you just never know. We'll give away, any kind of VD disease.
I'll be running a kissing booth.
He's going to be doing a kissing booth,
Yep.
We'll try not to give anybody hepatitis,
Abby?
for the weekend. So
Abby's it all in?
All right, guys. Hey, thanks for listening. Lance, thanks for joining me again.
Absolutely.
We'll be here same bat time, same bat channel on the best little wrestling podcast in the business. Be there. Love my mama.
Love llamas. Fernando Llamas.
Yeah. If they just knew it took us 3 takes to do this. Hey, thank you for joining us live from STS Studios in St. Louis, Missouri. And that was another great episode of Shootin' The Shiznit. A big thank you to Bob McGee at Pro Wrestlers Between the Sheets, PWBTS.com. Locals to Legends, Gene Jackson at www.localstolegends.com. Sean Garmer over at W2Mnet.com. Guys, we're at Comic Book Mark BT on Twitter, at BT Shootin' The Shiznit on Instagram. You can send a PayPal. That's right, a PayPal at Brian_Tramel, Tramel, at yahoo.com. All the archives are on our www.stspod.club page. That's right, Cool Kids Wrestling and MMA Talk Facebook group. You can join that and talk about wrestling. If we don't like you, we'll kick you out. There's also a Shootin' The Shiznit Facebook page where we actually post all the new episodes. Remember, you can listen to this episode and many more on iTunes, Stitcher, Player FM, Pop Paradise, and Spreaker. And finally, a shout out to our podcast bros: Suplex City Limits, Creative Control, Who's Right Podcast, P3 Radio. And guys, remember, keep it at 100. Patreon site is only $1. Help my buddy JoJo out there. Only $1. Join us next week for another great episode of Shootin' The Shiznit.